This is Professor Origami again. Greetings. This is lesson number 2, lesson number 1 being the making of an origami bird base, so-called. And at the very end of that lesson we had the bird base with the mountain at the top here, if you'll remember, the legs at the bottom, and a triangle. Now from this we're going to make any number of things. I think we're going to start first with, this time, what's called the flapping bird, and it's only a couple of folds, but one's fairly tricky. A couple are fairly tricky with this. From this bird base, we now have these two legs at the bottom, and they are split legs, so they open up a little bit on the sides here, in both cases. Now we're going to take one of them. I usually start with my right hand, and again, what we did with forming this base, we stick our finger in between here and kind of separate them, separate this leg, one of the legs on the side here, and we want to fold that leg up, only turning it inside out while we do it. Turning it inside out while we do it, so that it ends up something like this. Turning it inside out while we do it, with the finger, your finger in here, pushing it up this way, making it reverse that fold so that you get him sticking up like this, one of those legs sticking up like this. This is going to be either the neck or the tail of the flapping bird, and then we pinch these closed so that it stays up there, just a little bit short of putting it exactly even with this edge. Make it a little bit short of that in order to accommodate the flappiness of our baby flapping bird. Now we do the same thing, guess what, with the other leg here, which was one of the split legs. Now it's going to be the neck probably, and we're going to open that up with our finger, flip it up like this, and turn it inside out while we do that, so that we end up with something like this. And we'll do that again now. Here's the leg. With your left finger, holding it in your right hand, with your left finger, poke it in there, split the legs a little bit, make them spread a little bit. That's part of it. And push it up this way so that it turns inside out and sticks up to match the other one, so you have perfect, as well as you can make it, perfect symmetry. You know what symmetry means, of course. They're perfectly balanced. They're equal on the two sides, and you have something like a throne. A crown, rather, or a weapon you could throw if it were made out of metal. We could throw that baby as a weapon, and we have some pretty good points here. Now, we're just about done with the flapping bird. Now we take one end. I take usually the left end and just turn it down, just a simple head. Don't try to do anything fancy with the head. The tail stays the same the way it is. Now the crucial thing, which isn't a fold for making this bird flap, the wings. These are the wings. Now we want to not fold them. Don't make any folds in them, but make them curve. I do it with the thumb underneath and the fingers up above, and kind of coax it into curving. Coax it, talk it into doing what you want it to do, and you want him to curve, so talk to him nicely. You could, if you want to, whisper sweet nothings at this bird, the same way you do with your other loved ones, not to mention creatures out in your yard, so that you have these wings that curve like this, when you look at it this way, and curve this way, from having coaxed them into it, and make sure the edges of the wings are folded nicely, are nice and tight. That'll help you get your fold. It's the way, kind of the way you do with a Christmas ribbon. You know, when you want to curl the Christmas ribbon on a package, you slide your hands up and down it, and don't fold it at all, anywhere. Okay, now, if you got your head in your left hand, and I kind of push it down like this from the back to make sure that the wings know where you want them to be. Now, grab the throat, not the neck, the throat, fairly high up on the throat, and the tail, and you pull the tail in the direction of the tail that the tail points. You don't pull down, you don't pull up, neither horizontally nor vertically, but you pull in the direction that the tail points, which is about 45 degrees from the horizontal and the vertical. And if you pull it carefully and easy, just kind of coax it, you get a bird that flaps. A flapping bird, the famous flapping bird. Caw, caw, caw. And if you want them to stand, you can fold these bottom pieces a little bit, and it should stand. But it's not important for it to stand, because you won't want it to stand around very long. You will be playing with it because it flies around so nicely. But it does stand, and you got to hit it kind of easy. You've got to pull the tail kind of easy, because it will eventually rip because it is paper. Okay, last point about the flapping bird, something my grandchildren taught me. When you turn, assuming you have your wings flapping successfully, when you turn it upside down and look at the underside of it and flap the wings, you'll notice a hole opens up there. A hole opens up there. Make spitballs, make sure they're nice and dry, make them nice and tight and small. Put them in those holes, spitballs. You know how to make spitballs. Turn it upside down, turn it back on the right side up, and when you fly your bird and that hole opens, you got the spitballs the right size, you have a dive bomber. Flapping bird, caw, caw, dive bomber. End of lesson number 2, the flapping bird, made from a bird base. Lesson number 3 will follow. We will make a crane.